Right about now, you are listening to the Legacy and Leadership Podcast, a show where we discuss living as a leader worth following, leading others to do the same, and in doing so, leaving a legacy for future generations. My name is Jimmy Gonzalez Jr., a learning and development professional and leadership coach, sitting down with my co-host, Anthony Devon Watts Jr., an expert contact center leader that has effectively led and developed dynamic teams with high motivation. Together, we have over 30 years experience in the corporate game. Join us as we discuss our growth as leaders, share the lessons we've learned, and interview others to see how their leadership style was shaped as they were mentored by adversity. So thank you, everybody, for, again, giving us some of your time on this Friday evening. This webinar is really an extension of a lot of the work that Devon and I have been doing for several years, but even more focused over the last 4 months, again, with our Legacy and Leadership podcast. And we both know that your ability to focus on the work at hand, on family and different matters within your life is just extremely important to help you finding and achieving success in your life. So that is what we're going to be discussing today. Again, this is the Focus for Success webinar. So just in case you don't know who we are, first up, we have Anthony Devon Watts Jr., who is an expert contact center leader that has effectively led and developed dynamic teams with high motivation for several years now, and has, again, I want to say at least, you can definitely let me know if I'm wrong, but at least about 14 years or so in leadership within a corporate setting. But my man is still fairly young, so he started off very early in leadership roles within a call center environment. And then myself, Jimmy Gonzalez Jr., again, learning and development specialist and professional, and also a leadership coach. Now, that's what we do from a vocational standpoint. But Devon, I definitely want to give you an opportunity to give our folks that are here with us just a little bit about yourself as well, besides, again, professionally what we do.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those who don't know, I am a passionate sports fan. For sure. And I'm just equally passionate about leadership, passionate about my family as well. And just, improving, being able to improve, as a father and as a leader, and as just a steward in general. I'm super excited to have an opportunity to connect with the folks that decided to join, talk about focus, and just, again, convene with our legacy leader community.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we did mention this in some of the posts leading up to this particular webinar, but we want to make sure that you're staying with us the whole way through. So for everybody who is participating and with us this evening, you will have an opportunity. This is just for the attendees of this webinar. We'll have an opportunity to win our e-learning bundle on Focus for Success. So there's a few different products that come again with this bundle that's going to help you to focus and again achieve your goals. So we have the ebook itself, which is 36 pages. As you can see there, that's going to give you tips and strategies to help you really discover that what it takes to develop that laser focused mindset and again achieve success. And then we have 2 video series as well that is going to be part of this bundle. The productivity series. So we have a couple of videos that will help you to build productivity habits and get things done. Then the distraction diffuser, right? There's a lot of distractions in our life. So this is another e-learning course, again, a video learning tool that's going to be able to help you break through those opportunities and really show you how to create a laser sharp focus to get things done. So that's all going to be packaged together for a lucky winner at the end. Plus, I meant to get my sweater, but we're also going to be giving away some legacy and leadership swag. Isn't that right, Devon?
Yep, that is absolutely correct. We'll be giving out legacy and leadership podcast merch, as well to our lucky winner. So you can really commemorate today's experience.
Again, there's only going to be one lucky winner, but for everybody who is attending with us, you will get a copy of our 25 hacks to help boost your focus. So within this is basically a special report that's going to help you better know specific quick methods, tactics, and special tricks, again, to help improve your focus. So everybody who attends the webinar this evening will be getting a copy of this in your email. So definitely be on the lookout for that. So even a block of steel, right, can be sliced like butter by using a jet of water focused in a straight line. Now imagine how your life can change for the better by increasing and actually pinpointing your focus, right? That's, again, the whole premise of what we're looking into today. I think for both of us, when we think about our past and the progression within our careers and the progression within our lives, and some of the success that we've been able to see along the way really has come from, again, our ability to have that laser-like focus, to be determined on the goals that we have set for ourselves, and make sure that we're doing everything we can to, again, to diffuse any distractions and keep going with that relentless pursuit until we're able to achieve those goals. So focusing and completing tasks quickly and efficiently are really going to make you feel like you're in control, right? And not a puppet on a string being jerked around in circles. I think for all of us, that's, part of what we're looking for within our lives, as well as, wanting to feel like we have enough control within our lives, and specifically the things that are in our span of control, right? And while there's so many things going around in our own lives, maybe in our home, definitely within the country and within the world, some of the things that we can control, again, are our discipline, the things that we focus on and give our calories and mental capacity to, and also the thoughts and feelings that we have, that all of those things combined really determine how we feel and how confident we are, and then how we're able to produce and, again, achieve goals in the future. So when you learn to develop that laser-like focus, one of the main benefits is that you're going to have a positive mental outlook that really begins to change. And then you're able to see the possibilities of achieving all of your goals, not just some of them, but all of your goals, really. And just instead of saying to yourself that, you know what, I'm going to fall short, like this is not going to work, this is not going to happen. I think for all of us, and there's several folks on here that I know, again, have, seen success in their own lives. If we get to that point where, we believe kind of those negative thoughts and some of that negative self-talk that we really say to each other, again, it's gonna really manifest itself into us falling short. I think most of you know, if you don't, part of, we didn't really talk about necessarily the longevity of Devon's career, but my career itself has been spanning over 20 years. But there was a point in time where I decided to leave corporate America and open up a nonprofit fitness gym, which Devon was actually a part of as well, and the first board member on the chapter that we had here in Orlando. And if I gave into doubts, if I gave into any negative self-doubts and self-talk, that dream and that goal would not have accomplished and would not have materialized. But it did. Again, having that relentless focus and making sure that I was giving myself what I needed, which is what we're going to be discussing further along in this webinar, to ensure that I had everything that I needed to be able to pour out into others and to support others along the way. So goals with focus, right? They're going to help us to build momentum. And the more that we use goals with focus, then you're going to become an unstoppable force. And that's really our hope and our desire for you is, again, to become an unstoppable force and be able to conquer and achieve any goals that you have set for yourself. So preparing for maximum focus is what Devon is going to go ahead and cover for us next.
Absolutely. In order to prepare for maximum focus, there's really 4 areas, right? 4 areas at the end of the day that we're going to be focusing on to drive that, right? And that is the environment, right? Being able to maximize your environment, your body, right? So when we talk about your body, we're talking about exercising, we're talking about walking, running, and yes, even power naps. I can't wait for us to spend a little bit of time talking about that so that you guys can walk away from this with a license to sleep in the middle of your day, in the middle of your job, right? in addition to the body, we're going to talk about the mind. We're going to talk about meditation, mindfulness, visualizing. Anybody that's had an opportunity to chop it up with me for any period of time, you know how passionate I am just about the power of visualization and being able to leverage that as a tool to drive not only maximum focus, but also peak performance. Mm-hmm. And then the last area is your diet and how, yes, making the decision to only survive off of soda or Red Bulls and chips can actually negatively impact your ability to focus. And so we're going to talk about how do you ensure that you are able to maximize your focus by being mindful of what you consume, about what you consume.
And just about the part, you may, for those that are really a part of this legacy leader community and have been following our podcast, we haven't necessarily talked about a topic like this and your diet, but definitely it is conversations that we've had. And if you have spent any time around me, you know that I'm very passionate about health and fitness. Again, even running and owning a gym in the past and have conducted a number of nutritional, challenges and things of that nature, and just have realized, and again, Devon as an athlete as well in the past, have just realized how important it is to your performance on a daily basis. And again, mentally, when you're trying to focus, to make sure that you're really feeding your body high quality foods. So the diet definitely has a huge role to play in how you focus and your ability to do so. So we will be talking about that. But first up, again, we're going to go ahead and get into the environment.
Yeah, so I think starting with the environment is appropriate, especially given just kind of our current situation, right? If you guys think about it, most of us started off 2020, not working at home. Right. We were working in office space. And then very quickly, because of the pandemic, the need to transition to an at-home environment, again, for most of us, became urgent. And so we ended up migrating to home, but we didn't necessarily have the time or the ability to optimize our environment to maximize our focus and our energy. But when we talk about the environment, it's much more than just the physical space that you work in. Like that's a part of it for sure. But your environment consists of everything leading up to you actually starting to work. And so we want to spend some time just really breaking that down and talking about how do you maximize your environment in order to maximize your focus, right? So moving to the next one here, it really begins the moment that you wake up. The moment that you wake up. The vast majority of very successful people wake up early, right? Wake up early. Now, I know for some of us, myself included, that can be a bit of a bear. But when I really spent time just kind of thinking about, well, what is the value in being able to wake up early? I was reminded about a couple of conversations I've had with folks when it comes to investing. If you've ever talked to anybody about just investment mindset or, investing in your retirement, or if you remember taking like trig in high school and some of the formulas that you don't use today when you're looking at spreadsheets. But there was something that came up around interest and investing. And they really tell you that the biggest multiplier, the biggest impact there is the time component. Somebody who takes the time to start investing in themselves and start investing in their retirement at the age of 18 is going to be able to get a greater return on the investment than somebody who starts investing at the age of 40, even if the person at the age of 40 is doubling the amount that they're investing, because you cannot close that gap in time. So how does that apply to maximizing your focus? Well, waking up early is just that. It's about giving you as much time as possible so that you can do the things, the routines to put yourself in a position to maximize your focus, right? And so what does it take in order to get up early, but make sure that you're maximizing your focus, right? So first, it starts with, instead of hitting the snooze button over and over again, you have to train yourself to get out of bed immediately, right? You have to train yourself to get out of bed immediately. There's a couple of ways that you can go about doing that. It's not just about your own self-discipline, but take advantage of the environment. For me, when I really started to train myself to get up and not hit that snooze button, because it's very easy to fall into the comfort of your sheets, right? I knew that, okay, what I needed to do was put my phone, which is my alarm, further away from my bed. So I would physically have to get out of the bed in order to disengage the alarm. Right. It's little tricks like that you need to leverage in order to physically make sure that you get yourself up out of bed. You can't just, you can't just hit the snooze button and stay where you're at. You really have to change your location. That's a way that you start the process of your routine. Right. When we really looked at this, one of the things that, just kind of continued to resonate was that all high achievers and creative people have a routine at the end of the day that really powers them up and helps them to focus their minds on what they want to achieve for the day. The best example I can give of that, if you guys, again, I already gave you the disclaimer, I'm a sports fan. So if you ever watch sports and you see LeBron James before he gets on court, like what routine is he going through, right? He's taking out the baby powder. He's putting it down. He's rubbing it in his hands. He's throwing it up in the air. Or if you see the player that's at the free throw line and they're getting ready to take their free throw shots, you see them go through a series of steps, a series of routines, right? Dribbling, stopping, pausing, looking, dribbling again before they're shooting. Well, what's the value in this routine? The purpose in this routine is not out of just mere superstition, even though I know some of us believe that to be the case. Really what it is, it's about conditioning your mind, right? Conditioning your mind to associate these movements with your success, with peak performance, with peak focus, right? So having that routine is critical because it's a form of conditioning your mind for optimal productivity at the end of the day. So some routines that you can incorporate into the morning. I'm going to give you some advice, but you guys also know me. I keep it real. I'm going to tell you what I actually apply and what I don't apply. And one of the first things I actually say is a really good recommendation for a routine to kind of get the blood flowing and kind of get your day started is to take a cold shower. Now, I don't know who in their right mind would willingly sign up for that. I do know a couple of folks that are athletes and just kind of heavy into powerlifting and things like that. So there are some physiological benefits to cold showers. It helps with increasing your blood flow. And so if you can get your blood flow going, that kind of, increases the oxygen. And again, it just helps to improve focus and kind of get you out of that morning fog or grog that you go through. But I'm being real with y'all. I am not taking any cold showers. I'm just not going to do that. Right. So with that being said, you have to pick a routine that actually works for you. You have to pick a morning routine that actually works for you. Cool. You still there, Jimmy?
Making sure that there wasn't
okay.
Back.
No, no worries at all. Your camera disappeared. So what are some routines that can actually work for you? So one, you can try meditating, right? Meditating, yoga, writing, reading. All of these things can be really, really helpful tools to kind of help get your day going. And when you think about meditation, it doesn't have to be, hitting the gong and, getting the incense going and all of that stuff. Meditation can really just be a moment of stillness. Right, having a moment of stillness, being able to center yourself, being able to, for me personally, when I go through this process of just kind of getting my mind right, I actually go through affirmations, right? And I know we'll talk a little bit later about, the mental aspect of it, but for me, I actually go through affirmations, telling myself certain things in order to, again, put myself in the mental headspace to get prepared for the day. Right. I'm focused. I'm organized. I'm highly productive. Right. I'm capable of tackling whatever's in front of me. I'm going to dominate the day. All of those things, telling yourself those things over and over again and incorporating that into a routine can all be beneficial in helping to get you mentally in the right space. Right. And then ultimately you in the right environment to maximize your overall effectiveness. All right. Now, another recommendation, right? I know Jimmy's big on this, waking up early so he can start working out, right? So he can get in some type of physical activity. And that can be a really effective routine to get you in the right space to focus. For anybody that's happened to have hit the gym before they've actually started work, you can't deny the endorphins and just kind of the high that you get of like, man, I already knocked out working out and I haven't even like started the day. Like, man, I came to be an adult for real today. Right. Right. But again, depending on your schedule, that may not be feasible. You may not be able to get a full workout in the morning. So some of the things that you can actually do in lieu of that is, tell yourself, well, look, I'm going to try and get in a 7 to 10 minute type workout. Right. So I'll spend about 10 minutes or so, and maybe I'll do a series of exercises or yoga stretches. Right. So I can't dedicate an entire, hour, to the gym or 45 minutes, but I'm going to do these things and I'm going to do them for 10 minutes. And again, through those baby steps and through those routines, put myself in the right headspace and the right environment to maximize my focus for the day. Now, if you find yourself at any point, lagging, losing focus, and I'm pretty sure all of us do, right? Because it can be mind numbing to sit here and just stare at the screen and hop on off of, on one team meeting or Zoom meeting or Skype meeting, whatever you're using, then hop off of that and then hop onto another one, right? Don't be afraid to take a break. I think one of the biggest shortcomings that at times we have as leaders, and again, just in full transparency, because I find myself doing this as well, is that we think the key to driving focus and the key to achievement is to push yourself and power through, right? Like when you're saying, oh man, I'm lagging, I'm draining, instead of giving yourself the reprieve to go take the break that you need to get yourself back in the right headspace, to get yourself back hydrated, to get yourself back focused. Instead, we say, oh, no, I'll just deal with it. Like, I'll just keep going. Like, if I just keep going, then it'll be fine. Right. And in reality, while you're pressing through, you're not operating at peak you, and you're not providing your best game. Right. Like, again, I keep going back to, some of my sports experiences or what I watch. Like, even the best athletes, the most dominant athletes, people are at the pinnacle of their profession. They have to take timeouts. They get breathers. They sit on the bench, right? LeBron is not playing all 42, 48 minutes of the game. Right. He needs to take time to get himself in the right headspace, the right physical space, so that he can, when he's on the court, when he's actually performing, he's at the peak version of himself. And again, I think we have to have that exact same mindset as leaders, making sure that you're at your peak self. And so if you're lagging, take the break. There's nothing wrong with that, right? So what can that potentially look like? Well, finding a quiet spot, getting physically away from where you're working at, right? Again, I know easier said than done, especially in this environment, because some of us are working on our couch, with our laptop, right? But again, you have to be able to put it down, close it, walk away from the space, go for a walk, go on your balcony, right? Find a quiet space for you to recenter yourself. Again, if you want to do power Tai Chi breathing, by all means, I strongly encourage you to do so if that works for you. That's not necessarily up my alley. When I start thinking about Tai Chi, then I start thinking about karate movies, and then I want to watch a movie. Right. So I don't know if I'm going to necessarily try and master the power of Tai Chi breathing. But for me, where I have found value is being able to take a break. My breather is actually finding out, what the missus and what the kids are doing. So I, get out of the office, I close it, I shut it down for a minute, and then I just go hang out with Lennox in his room for a while and let him beat up on me, or hang out with Gio so he can tell me the latest thing that's going on with Fortnite, or bother Gabby for as long as she'll allow me to bother her before she kicks me out of her space. Right. But that's my way of recentering. Now, as your day starts to wind down, you need to ask yourself some important questions, right? So like, what are you grateful for, right? Like, what did you do right today? What we're really getting at, because we've talked about before you get into work, right? Kind of that routine, establishing that routine. And then obviously when you jump into it, you're going 1,000 miles an hour. You're trying to tackle the day and everything that's in front of you, right? But the challenge that I would extend to this group is, how often are we actually recapping and kind of debriefing mentally from the day that just transpired? Right. That's a critical part of the process when you're talking about maximizing your environment and getting yourself again in the right headspace in order to maximize your peak focus. Is you have to be able to recap what you experienced, right? And that's the process of winding or shutting it down. And if, for a lot of us, obviously, because we're working at home, we don't have the benefit of that car ride home. Like for me, that was it. That car ride home, I would, text the family, hey, I'm on the way. And I would turn on the music, my ride home. And then I would just spend that time thinking about what I went through that day. Like, what did I get accomplished? What am I grateful for? Is there anything that, didn't work as planned? What can I fix? What am I going to be focused on for the next day? It's all a part of, again, driving that focus. You have to be able to do a bit of a postmortem, a look back, so that you can start getting in the right headspace for the upcoming day. So getting ready for the next day helps to make that day a winner. We've talked about this before. If you've listened to the episodes about time management, we talk about, not being a victim of the fire drills, right? Not succumbing to the fire drills by really honing in on mastering your time, managing your time effectively, planning properly, right? That allows you to maximize your focus because you know what you're getting ready to get into. You know what are the critical deliverables. You know what the big rocks are, and you're not necessarily a victim to whatever comes across in your inbox. Because again, from my own experience, I've lived in that space, and it is not fun. You walk away feeling unproductive. You walk away feeling like you're lurching from one fire drill to the next fire drill. And then at the end of the day, you just kind of, leave in a tizzy, like, okay, well, like, what did I do? Like, where did the time go? I don't even think I necessarily maximized the day. I survived the day. And the key here, when we're talking about driving maximum focus, is not to just survive, it's to be successful. Right. And so getting ready for the next day is a critical component of that. So, I know that a lot of us that are on this webinar right now are very, very goal-oriented individuals, very ambitious, very goal-oriented individuals. I've had, conversations with some of you guys personally. And so while, being focused on your goals is great, for being able to power you through the day, the nighttime is when you really need to slow your brain down and you have to sleep. You have to shut it down. I think that honestly, one of the, I know this word is used so often, but I'll use it, like the toxic traits right now of our entrepreneur or leader or business runner culture is we over glorify the lack of sleep. Like, people wear, not sleeping and always working as a badge of honor. And look, I am one of those individuals to admit it, right? For sure, I am that, I have been that individual. But at the end of the day, right, you need to, when we're talking about maximizing your focus, you need to be able to shut it down. You really have to, again, it's about operating at the peak performance, the peak you. So we shouldn't make not sleeping, a lack of sleep, cool. That's not what it's really about. It's about maximizing your productivity within the time frame that you need to dedicate yourself to the task, and then making sure that you are doing the things before work and after work, right? After work, so that you can recover, refocus, reorient yourself, get back to your routine, and then hit it again as optimal efficiency, being the most efficient, the peak version of you, right? So instead of thinking about all the things that you want to accomplish, because that can get you down a rabbit hole. Why not, spend time thinking to yourself about, what you're thankful for, right? what are you, what are you going to, mention in your affirmations tomorrow, right? Thinking a little bit about your morning routine, right? Getting your mind focused on the process of preparing as opposed to what you want to accomplish. So now that we've covered kind of the beginning and the end of your day, we're going to talk a little bit about the time in the middle, right? The time in the middle. I think this is probably the area that most folks are, comfortable with or associate with trying to drive focus, because it's this time in the middle that we want to try and stay plugged in. All right. So the very first thing that you should do is eliminate anything that can impact your focus. Look, for me, I am a little bit guilty of this. Like when we first transitioned and working from home, I was like, oh man, so this is going to be dope. I'm going to set up the office. I'm going to get a TV. I'm going to have the TV with the Netflix on there. Right. So like in between, I can have Netflix going, right. I can like stay like caught up on my stuff. And we did, I did that for a brief period of time. And then I found myself either not focusing on my task at hand of what I wanted to accomplish. Right. And, watching what was popping on Netflix, or not focused on what was happening on Netflix and losing myself in, like what's going on in the storyline because I'm focused on the task at hand. And so it really comes down to knowing yourself. You need to eliminate anything that's going to, impact your focus or be a distraction. And yes, that even includes, your cell phone, right? Your cell phone. Again, emails, social media. We've talked about this a little bit before, right? About the Pomodoro technique of dedicating yourself to the task at hand. After you've already blocked it out from a time perspective, dedicating yourself to the task at hand and just saying, I'm going to spend the next 30 minutes only doing this. I'm not going to check emails. I'm going to shut down the instant messenger. I'm going to put my phone on airplane mode, and I'm going to tackle this. I know that for many of us, as we've, kind of, grown as leaders and, just, worked, worked in leadership roles or leadership capacities. I know that many of us have fallen into the trap, the myth of the multitasker, right? The multitasker. But I really would challenge all of us to think about when you take a step back, and every time you've used the phrase, I was multitasking, ask yourself if you're really paying attention. I can tell you for me personally, 90% of the time when I utter the phrase like, oh, I'm sorry, I was multitasking, that's my way of politely letting you know I was not paying attention to whatever you were saying. And I was focused on something else. So I wasn't multitasking. I was just tasking, right? I was just tasking. And so the same is true when you're focused on a major deliverable. All of these things, whether it's, your phone, whether it's email, those things are distractions. And so you have to be willing to shut it down. You have to be willing to shut it off so that you can lock in and, again, perform at the peak version of you. Now, take a look at what may be an unpleasant task and put that at your start, right? So we've talked about shutting down, your phone and other distractions. Another key to being able to drive your focus during the middle of the day is tackle the thing that you least want to tackle. I know that may sound counterintuitive. I know it does. But if you tackle that when you're at your peak level of focus, your peak level of performance, right, and you're able to get through that, think about the momentum that you have on the back end after getting that task completed. Inevitably, what happens if you're not focused on tackling the most unpleasant task first, and you save that for last, because again, I've seen it. I've again been guilty of it myself. Is that it continues to get pushed off, right? Like I do all the stuff that I like, and I get the momentum going, all right, and I got that accomplished. And then, it's like about 6 o'clock. Yeah, I still got to do that. Well, that's going to take me about 2 hours to do if I want to do it properly. You know what? I won't do it now. I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it when I get home, right? And again, those are all things that run counter to some of the tips and techniques that, we've talked about for maximizing your focus, right? And making sure that you're performing at the peak version of you. Right. And lastly, for maximizing your environment, clearing up those items first gives you, like I said, that sense of accomplishment. And allows you to, again, if you've been listening and following on from a time management component or time management perspective, allows you to carry that momentum to your to-do list. So if you're planning your time, if you're doing your minute prepping at the beginning of the week, if you're identifying the major deliverables, if you're going through, developing the right routine, waking up early so that you get yourself in the right mental headspace. And then when you tackle your day, you're clearing any distractions, you're shutting down, cell phones, emails, and IMs. Again, I know that may require a little bit more effort than you realize in order to accomplish, but it's critically important to be able to drive that focus. If you're doing those things and then you're tackling that unpleasant task first and carrying that momentum into your to-do list, and then recapping, allowing yourself to shut it down, to wind down, review your prior day, and then start thinking about your routine for the next day. All of those are essential and necessary to help you create the right environment to maximize your focus so that you can maximize your performance. Cool. So now that we've kind of talked extensively about the environment, I'm going to let Jimmy spend some time breaking down the importance of your body and how your body and taking care of your body plays a role in maximizing your focus.
Before we do that, I am curious. We had a couple of people making some comments in the chat. What specifically resonated with you from that section on the environment itself? And maybe even share, some tips and things that you've done, especially again, since we've all primarily been working from home and it has been a big adjustment. What are some things that you've done to make those adjustments and to help yourself focus even more while you are working from home? So what resonated with you and what possible tips or strategies have you implemented yourself? You can go ahead and put that into the chat. So we're going to be talking about your body, right? And how important that is. So the first thing we're going to talk about is walking. And while you're walking, really drawing in deep breaths as we walk, allowing that to calm your mind. And the walking also allows us to really start focusing on the more positive aspects of our lives. Whether you're going on a solo walk, maybe you're walking with a family member, a spouse. If your dog is not too crazy, like the new dog that we have over the last 4 or 5 months, maybe even going for a walk with your dog as well. And again, just being out in nature. Our stress levels really begin to reduce as oxygen is pulled into the lungs and those impurities are breathed back out. So again, being out in nature, walking definitely helps that. And we tend to notice just the more beautiful things in life. I am blessed to live right next to the West Orange Trail. For those that are familiar with like Coe, Florida, and being able to just be in that area where there's trees and there's nature, again, it just does a lot more positivity for your mind. Looking at the patterns, within the clouds, maybe there's birds, or just feeling the sun, getting some of that vitamin D and feeling the sun hit you, all of those things, or just the wind on your skin, again, is really truly invigorating when you just are fully engaged in going for just a nice brisk walk. And we're not talking about exercising and power walking, which is good, but specifically, again, really just going to walk and using it as an opportunity to focus on breathing and to calm your mind. Oh, they can't see each other's comments. I'll see if we can change that. See if that's something that you might be able to fix, Devon. So running, this is an activity that will help you focus and that a lot of people love to do, but not everyone necessarily can. But again, running is a really good opportunity, again, just to be outside, kind of feeling your feet touching the earth and going through that process. Now, again, it does depend on your physical ability. If you're able to run, though, take up the sport. Choose running as a lifestyle if that really, really fits you. Some people are quite happy to run alongside the road, or again, finding a really nice place like a trail that you can run within the nature. If you live close to a beach, running on the beach, or if you're even just, going on vacation and taking, again, a walk and taking advantage of being that close to nature in that way are definitely some positive things that you want to try to incorporate when the opportunities present themselves. When you're running, let's say maybe in a trail, or if you're running in the sand, I will say definitely also pay attention to your foot placement and how you're breathing. Of course, safety is always first. So be mindful of those things as well. A couple of years ago, my mom is getting up there in age, and she definitely is a huge proponent of going for walks, again, here on the West Orange Trail, and taking my nephew with her. But something that I was really proud of her that she incorporated a few years ago is just swimming and going to the pool that's in her neighborhood. And again, doing laps in the pool, which is just another great source, another great method of exercise for improving your focus and your overall clarity. And especially once you get into that really good rhythm, your mind really starts to relax, and it can really help you work again on those positive thoughts and the goals that you have for yourself. So Devon mentioned this a little while ago, and just the fact that we were going to be coming up to it. Power naps. I am interested. I know everybody can't maybe see each other's in the each other's comments, but I am interested. You could say yes if you take power naps on a consistent basis. Go ahead and put that in the chat for us. I will say, and I've learned to, in my somewhat old age, have grace with myself, but truly come to understand the power of taking a power nap. And Devon mentioned this, like literally in the middle of the day. Now, from a production standpoint, based on your meetings and conference calls and things like that, obviously you have to be very mindful of that, right? And be a good steward of your job. But typically when I work at home, like the amount of breaks, and I don't think I really necessarily took that many breaks when we were in the office anyway, but I don't really take, an hour lunch or anything like that. So I know if I take, stop it in some point in the day to take a 15 or 20 minute break to eat lunch, at some point, especially if I know that I'm really getting tired and I'm starting to really slow down in my efficiency and my work, I will go, leave the office space and go into my room and take a 20-minute nap. I even have it on my phone on my as a timer for 22 minutes, so I can give myself like a minute or so to actually fall asleep and get a full 20 minutes. Once that alarm goes off, I wake back up and I get back to work and I do what I need to do. But again, feeling that much more refreshed along the way. It's almost like, kind of emptying the recycle bin on your computer to increase space, allowing any stress, any issues that you have, or just that tiredness and that brain fog that you have to completely go away as you take that nap. Beth says she should do it more. Rachel said yes. Aaron says power naps will turn into a great night's sleep. I'm not responsible enough for power naps. Appreciate that, Aaron. You definitely have to have some discipline. Again, as soon as my alarm goes off, I am up and I am out of the bed. But really, and science says, again, 20 to 30 minutes, but that 20-minute time frame is really all that you need, again, to feel refreshed. All right, next up, we're going to be jumping into the third area. Remember, there's four, but also, again, continue to stay tuned with us because we also have, after we get through these four areas, a lot of different tools and apps that we're going to break down for you. They're going to help you to do some of the things and strategies that Devon just mentioned to you earlier. But now we're going on to, again, section number 3, which is your mind.
Absolutely. So, again, we talked a little bit about this in the environment. We talked about the routine that you're establishing for yourself. And I mentioned the importance of, finding quiet time and meditation. All right. And so, one of the key areas that you can use to really sharpen and hone your mind is just that, it's meditation. And like I mentioned, it's not, I think people have this misconception that, again, meditation is some difficult thing that you have to spend years studying. You have to travel to China and, convene with a Buddhist monk to finally find that level of enlightenment. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. you can do simple meditation really just to start. Again, there are, things that you can purchase. You can purchase a yoga mat. You can, again, find music that resonates with you, incense, like all of those things, and find quiet. Like, pursue stillness. It's as simple as that. Pursue stillness. Now, I can tell you again from my own experience, just as much as I have the ability to run my mouth out loud, my mind is just as active. So the pursuit of stillness took a little minute to actually attain. But what I did was I started to hone in on the affirmations, right? On the affirmations, and use that to say, well, look, let me quiet out the rest of the noise and let me just focus on, these, key affirmations that I'm going to repeat to myself over and over and over and over and over again. The other bit of advice I would give folks too is, I think that there's this misconception, again, when it comes to meditation, that you have to have also like this, like super specific type of measured breathing. Like, again, don't put more pressure on yourself than necessary. Breathe normally. You really just breathe normally. Find a quiet space. Focus on your affirmations. Again, if you want to add in music, if you want to add in some type of incense or lavender or anything like that. I know essential oils are exceptionally popular. Right, that's a good place to start. And then over time, again, it's incremental steps. As you continue to create this routine, as you continue to follow this routine, it's going to be easier and easier to attain that level of stillness, that level of peace. And truly be able to meditate effectively. Now, in addition to meditation, right, you can also focus on mindfulness. So mindfulness, when it's practiced effectively, just brings people back to the present. We spend so much of our time, not just as leaders, as people in general, either living in the past, right, thinking about the things that have already happened and, living there and dwelling on it, or living in the future, things that you want to do or things that are coming up, and not really being in this moment and just focusing on the right now. And for me, what actually drove that point home, and I think I may have shared this before, but it was the discussion I was having with Jimmy when Jimmy was talking about his son, Christian. And he hit the point. Christian just started 9th grade, and we were having a conversation. You're like, man, I got 4 more summers with my boy, like before he's like off into the world. He's an adult and he's, going off to school and, doing his thing. And even though I didn't, have a kid at the time, I still carried that with me because to me, it was a powerful lesson about focusing on now. If Jimmy had, lived in kind of the past when Christian was a baby, or just focusing on, when he gets to college and what is he going to study, if you spend the time focusing on the past or the future, you don't really get to maximize the present. And so mindfulness is about being aware that you really only have the moment that you're living in right now. And how can you make the most of that moment right now? Okay. And next, in addition to mindfulness, is really visualizing. Again, I've kind of already touched on this. The best athletes in the world use visualization. For me, I think it's, it's easy to understand the power of visualization when you really take a step back and you think about the own experiences that you have. Have you ever had a thought that was, so powerful that you had like a physical reaction to it, even if nothing actually happened to you, right? Whether, it'd be heartbreak or fear, or, you have that thought of something happening and it just, cringy and you can feel it in your body. That just shows you how powerful the mind is in terms of being able to take what we manifest here or what we visualize here and manifest it into the world. And so if you can really tap into that, you can use that to your advantage. I'm a firm believer in leveraging visualization for every aspect of my life, from goal setting to interview preparation, to when I have a large presentation that I'm about to do, again, getting prepared for difficult conversations. Like, going through the visualization process helps to get you prepared and can help you manifest what you desire to accomplish in the real world. So again, visualizing is another really, really powerful tool that you can use in order to keep your mind sharp and maximize your focus. Again, visualization is like being a movie director, and you can see what you want to do over and over in slow motion replay, and you're successful. And so when you get into that situation where you're actually physically about to do it, your mind triggers kind of deja vu, right? Where your mind says, oh yeah, hold on, I've done this before. I know exactly how this is going to play out. This is going to be a really, really good outcome for me. And so when you're, leveraging visualization effectively, you can have that type of outcome. And lastly is mind mapping. Mind mapping is what a lot of successful people do. It's a form of brain dumping. Like sometimes you have so many thoughts that are just kind of rummaging around in your head and bouncing around. And I think sometimes we get paralyzed by trying to organize them. Like we think about, oh man, I got so many things to do. Like how do I, like, what is number one and what is number two and what is number three? And instead of spending a lot of time initially trying to organize them, spend time getting your thoughts committed to paper, committed to a whiteboard, get them out. Right. Once you get them out, then from there, it becomes a lot more easier to organize them and to prioritize and understand the things that are important to you. Right. But you need to be able to get those thoughts out. And that's for, not just from an organization perspective, but from a goal setting perspective, things that you want to accomplish, like getting those thoughts out. Don't let your goals, your aspirations, things you need to accomplish merely live up here. Commit them to paper. That's the first step. When you get them out, you can get them committed to paper. Then from there, you can prioritize and organize, and then really be able to focus and tackle what you need to tackle. Cool. So now that we've kind of really drained, tips for focusing from a mental perspective, I know that Jimmy talked about, the importance of diet a little bit. And he's obviously very well versed in this space, I would say, or the best suited to speak about this, because if there has been any type of diet out there from a health perspective, Jimmy has researched it. He has been on it. He has experienced it from Atkins to keto to like you name it. So I'm really interested to hear what he has to say, because again, you guys know me, I operate in full transparency, and a lot of the folks that are on this call, they know my eating habits. All right, so I can't even sit here and tell you, like, yeah, man, I'm always eating the blueberries and the salads. Like, you guys know me. I am the classic, like, one Red Bull and a coffee, and that's going to power me through the day. I had to learn through this process why I'm not putting myself in the best position to maximize my focus and be successful and perform at peak me. So, Jimmy, I'll turn it over to you so you can break down the importance of diet, and I'll take notes for myself.
Thank you, Devon. And I just want to, mention, it says your diet. We're not talking about being on any specific diet, but just really thinking about taking care of your temple, right? And the body that we've been blessed with, and how do we make sure that, I want to, if I have a Ferrari or a Corvette or this really nice car, I'm not going to give it cheap gas. I'm going to give it premium, high octane fuel. And our bodies are just the same way, right? So we want to go through some steps and talk about some superfoods and things that you can drink that are going to help you, again, provide yourself that high octane nourishment that you really need. So in order for you to stay focused and have clarity again and be in a productive mood, you really need the right fuel for your body. So first on the list is flaxseed. You may never have imagined that this food can really aid in focus and concentration, but it really is a great source of omega-3 and healthy fats, right? So when we hear the term fats, we may have a negative connotation with that, but again, there's a lot of healthy fats that are good for our brain. It also has magnesium, which is essential for your body, as well as B vitamins, and again, some really important fatty acids. So don't let that scare you. Again, the good fat really helps to process a lot of the things that are going on in your body, and is truly healthy for you. Green leaf vegetables. Now, again, I know my friend Devon is not really one for green leaf vegetables. And for those that may have worked with us within the call center environment. There was even a contest that if the team did something fantastic, he had to eat a salad in front of like the whole call center, which actually happened. But that's just how much he hates to eat salad and green leaves. So we're going to hopefully help him and help him continue to work on that. But green leaves just are very high in B vitamins, which again help you focus. They also have folic acid, which is very positive for you. It's going to help you with your mental clarity, which again is something that you're going to really need, especially as people like myself we begin to age, right? And as we get older, we want to make sure that we're feeding ourselves these essential vitamins. Kale, another one on Devon's list of least favorites, but it is something that people find hard to eat. He's not the only one, but you know the taste of kale can be a little bit bitter. I've eaten kale, you know, within a salad. I've also put it in smoothies. There's a couple of different things that you can do to work through the taste of it itself. But again, there's just a number of different ways that you can enjoy kale, which is a very dark leafy vegetable. You can chop it up and mix it with spinach. Again, I've done that a number of times, throwing in some onions, some red peppers, adding some color, you know, to the salad itself definitely helps. Again, a kale smoothie, all things that you can find and recipes on the internet that I'm sure will be very beneficial, and you'll find something specific to your taste and your liking that will be just right for you. Sometimes even, you know, blending the kale with lime juice, honey, and just water. The lime and the honey will eliminate any of that bitter taste, and again, allow you to make sure that you're really getting the essential vitamins out of the kale itself.
I'm not eating kale chips.
And yes, you can make kale chips as well. That is absolutely correct. Romaine lettuce is another great vegetable that you can use for salad. We mentioned spinach, and this can be eaten raw or again cooked with potatoes and some curry. But again, you know, romaine lettuce is another really great vegetable and lettuce that you can eat. And again, mixing that up, I tend to mix some of my lettuce up with spinach. I really love spinach as well, so that's kind of one of my you know, key factors in my salads and kind of a staple for me. Nuts, you know, so for me, again, depending on your taste, I do eat a lot of almonds. I eat a lot of cashews, but nuts are just awesome. Not only can they be beaten, you know, by the handful of a snack, you know, just in between meals. You know, you can chop them up, you can grind them, you can add them to your food. Even on salads, you know, you can grind them up and chop them up and put that onto a salad as well. Again, all different things that are really, really good for you. Peanuts are delicious. I also tend to eat a lot of peanut butter or almond butter. You have to be careful with, you know, the specific kind that you get. You want to make sure that the ingredients are very limited. So if we're talking about almonds, it has almonds, maybe sea salt, and oil, and that's it. You know, anything that has additional extra sugar in it is probably not going to be the best. It may taste really, really good, but again, it's not going to be the best for you. So definitely take a look at the different ingredients that you have on those as well. But nuts do have a lot of essential oils combined again with amino acids, which are building blocks for your muscles and protein. This combination will most certainly, again, help you with your focus and the mental clarity that we're all seeking. We mentioned aging. Again, getting older, it's unavoidable. It happens, especially in the present day, right? There's really nothing that we can do to stop it, but we can do things to help out and maybe slow down that process just a little bit. So when it comes to our conversation on focus, like we just can't forget about getting up in the years, right? So even my young friend and counterpart, you know, at some point he's going to be, God willing, in his 40s, and myself getting up into our 50s. So the older that we get, again, there's still more important it is to make sure that you're feeding yourself some of the best foods possible. And the nuts that you consume have a lot of vitamin E, which also supports just cognitive awareness. So a lot of benefits from consuming nuts. Dark chocolate. How many chocolate lovers do we have out there? Not peanut M&Ms. But dark chocolate is delicious. It also contains a couple of things that we've covered already. It does have caffeine in very small amounts as well as magnesium. I actually tend to buy a lot of baker's chocolate, which doesn't have any sugar in it at all. I think maybe like a couple of grams of carbs, if any. And again, high in fat, but good fats. And I'll crush that up. I'll actually mix it with peanut butter. Sometimes I'll even put it on like my waffles in the morning if I'm having that for breakfast. So a lot of different things that you can do with dark chocolate. Um, as a stimulant, definitely, dark chocolate helps to release endorphins. And then another one of those chemicals that really your body produces, which is called serotonin, right? So having a release of serotonin in your body gives a dose of pleasure, and it makes you feel better, makes you feel great about yourself. So when this happens, and you're able to really continue to focus on the task that you have at hand because you're feeling happier, you're feeling more positive about yourself. And as your mood is enhanced, right, you start to produce more instead of just feeling slightly depressed or just, not as confident in yourself at the time. Another one of my favorites, avocados. It really come to the forefront lately. You see a lot of commercials, right? Avocados from Mexico. Uh, but there's just so many benefits, again, healthy benefits to eating avocados. Um, you can see them on a lot of different food items, including sandwiches. I know places like Chipotle may sometimes charge a little bit too much for some guacamole and avocados. But again, that's because of how good and the extreme amount of benefits that you have from eating avocados. I personally, whether I'm just slicing them up and eating them with a salad or just eating with a part of my meal, I have at least a half of avocado. Sometimes I'll even have, throughout the day, a whole avocado. Also, organic, guacamole is another thing that you can do with the avocado for dipping, or even putting that on a sandwich. I'll take some guacamole and put that in a nice wrap that I'm making for lunch. So many just different variations and things that you can do with avocado, which you can find at all, grocery stores, places like Whole Food, things like that. So avocados are kind of sexy these days, again, especially with all the advertising and marketing that's going on. But it really is a great source of a lot of complex vitamins and fiber as well. And most importantly for us, though, avocado assists with blood flow to all the areas of your body, which obviously includes the brain. So when there is not enough blood flow going to the brain, then it really is difficult to focus without really exerting a lot of great effort. So the more that we can do things to increase the blood flow, obviously the better it's going to be for our mental capacity. Next up, some fatty fish, trout, salmon, mackerel. Fatty fish, again, are really good for you. We mentioned that there is bad fat and then there's good fat in our diets. And we need to ensure that we cut out, as much of the bad fat as possible and increase the good fat because, again, our bodies really need that. It helps mental capacity, is good for our heart, and it just helps us to function properly. Chiefly, the good fat that we're talking about, again, are those omega-3s, which helps boost your mental performance. And can be found in, again, all of the different types of fish that you see displayed right now. It's also good. Omega-3 will help you just kind of keep your mood in check so you don't become depressed. And it also helps to assist with your memory function as well. Blueberries. I think, Devon, you said you don't like blueberries either?
Nah, but Linux loves blueberries, so we buy them. Yeah, we buy them in abundance. But yeah, I'm not really a fan of blueberries.
So blueberries, again, another delicious treat, whether you want to put that in your oatmeal. I also put a lot of blueberries and strawberries into my smoothies, high on antioxidants, again, which is very good for your immune system. Even if you're having a little bit of ice cream, pop a couple of those, into your mouth and have that with your ice cream as well. They are considered a superfood, and then they pack just so much goodness in one tiny little blueberry. Again, very high in antioxidants. All right, so we definitely covered some great foods that will help you with your focus. Now we're going to go over some drinks that will help you do the same. I know we're getting a little over with time. I think we're going to go to about 9:15 or 9:30 or so. But yeah, we have a couple of drinks, and then we're going to get into, again, some applications and specific tools that you can use to help yourself focus. But the next up is green tea, something that the Japanese people have, consumed for centuries. They even have very elaborate ceremonies for the making and presenting of tea. And one of the best known teas, green teas, is maca. Green tea not only tastes wonderful and is refreshing, but it has really some good properties like coffee, such as caffeine. Now, I'm a caffeine fiend, something I need to work on, and I try to detox at least a couple of times throughout the year. But it does give us a little rocket boost, and it does help us to focus as well. So caffeine is not necessarily bad for you, just making sure that you're not like anything else, right? It's in moderation. You're not over consuming the caffeine. Water. Some of you may have seen I started, kind of putting up some posts on Facebook and in LinkedIn about water and just the benefits of water. It is super essential. Has only been like the last few years that, water itself has really begun to kind of get, I think, larger within the discussion, just because of a lot of the marketing ploys that are out there. There's like all different types of waters, right? You can go into the grocery store and everybody's trying to bottle up water. You don't need to have anything fancy, any specific fancy ingredients. Just make sure that, regular water is fine in regards to really what you need. But since we're talking about focus, that specifically, we need to make sure that the water we drink is as pure as possible. Your brain is very, very dependent on water, as it's made up of about 85% water. So when you're dehydrated, your brain suffers. You start to have that brain fog. And a lot of times when we're tired, and even sometimes where we may be feeling hungry, those are kind of symptoms that we may think, oh, I need to take a nap. Or excuse me, my body might be hungry, but it really is that your body is dehydrated. I'm actually going to take a sip of water myself. So studies have shown that even 1% dehydration will decrease, again, your cognitive functions by about 5%. So when you're drinking water, you can always add maybe some super green liquids if you need to put something into it that will help brain function. Another thing that you can add to your water is some fresh lemon juice. The lemon has, really great properties for your health. Plus, the scent of the lemon has been shown to boost awareness and focus as well. Our bodies are less likely to form cancers when they are alkaline based. So if you can get there's things that you can buy. There's systems that you can buy, like the Kagan water system is one of them that was developed in Japan. This ionizing water machine produces water that is alkaline in nature. So again, you take your tap water, turn it into hydrating alkaline water, and you'll definitely see and notice the difference in your body and in your mind as well. Coffee, one of my favorites. Coffee is super big business, right? But let's not forget that besides just helping, with eliminations of body waste first thing in the morning, which typically happens if you drink coffee in the morning, coffee definitely, it perks you up. We know about caffeine, again, the factor within coffee itself, how that helps us with the focus. But if we really want to boost it, you can even add a little bit of cinnamon to your coffee. And do your best. I know it's very easy. And as I said, I've never done it myself, but, using creamers or, getting a Frappuccino mocha or something like that at your favorite coffee shop. And there's so much sugar and different ingredients added in there. One thing that I have been trying to work on to be a little bit more disciplined about is just drinking black coffee without anything added. But again, if you want to add something, you can add a little bit of cinnamon to your coffee. It makes for a great flavor. And the smell of cinnamon has definitely shown to also boost your alertness and also your focus. So for your overall health and clear focus, again, there's just a number of foods that you should be avoiding. We're going to run through these a little fast. I think you're all aware of some of these things that would be on the list of things that we should be avoiding. Fast food, right? Fast food contains saturated fats and trans fats. Those are the bad fats that we want to stay away from. Both of these cause inflammation in all parts of your body. There's also a link between high processed sugar content, fructose, and other bad sugars that actually cause depression. A lot of these are found in fast foods that we eat. So if your body is sluggish, if you're feeling down, it's impossible to focus on the goals and the things that you're trying to achieve. Again, so really be thoughtful of, the food that you're eating. Again, everything in moderation, right? Sometimes we'd be caught in a spot, or maybe you're going to have some fast food to enjoy for that particular moment. But we want to make sure at least 70, 80% of the time that we're putting, again, high quality foods into our system. I call them snacky cakes, but baked pies, cakes, cookies, again, all different types of things that you want to do your best to stay away from. I know, you may like going to your parents or your grandparents' house, and they just are wonderful at making these, home baked cookies and pies. Especially with Thanksgiving around the corner, we typically tend to feast on things like this. Again, there's going to be times in our life where we can indulge and enjoy those things, but on a consistent basis, we want to make sure that we're trying to stay away. All things hostess, exactly. Doing our best to stay away from items that just are very high in sugar content. Processed white sugar is basically a sugar cane that is burnt down to granules, and there's a complicated process to get it to what you see in the bag on the grocery shelves. So again, anything that's processed overall, you want to do your best to try to stay away from the majority of the time. If it's in a bag, if it's packaged, that's processed food. So again, anything that is going to go bad very quickly, those are the type of foods that you want to try to stick to, again, the majority of the time. Margarine and cheese. Now, again, depending on the type of diet, there was a time where I was doing the keto diet for a while, and you don't have to have dairy, for any of those that maybe have done that diet before or have lived that type of lifestyle. But margarine and cheese are just some things that, again, that have a lot of saturated fats and things that you should be just thoughtful of, right, as you're going through your day and thinking about the types of food that you're going to eat. All right. So next, focus tools and apps to consider. No more talk about oatmeal pies.
They're delicious. They really are. But again, I think the biggest lesson is definitely in moderation, and then making sure that more than anything, you're over indexing in kind of the foods that are going to help, kind of drive health, your overall health mentally and physically. So I took my notes. I was paying attention.
Cool. I appreciate that. Well, next up, we're going to have a list of tools and again, apps that are going to help you to focus. You don't have to use all of them. There's going to be a few that we're going to run down, but definitely, pick one or maybe pick two, depending on the different features that they have, and find out what, is going to work best for you. So we were talking about meditation earlier, and this is one that I've used myself consistently. Few people within my family and my household have actually used Headspace. If anybody has used Headspace before, like the main guy, and they actually started having commercials with his voice as well. It's just a phenomenal voice. And it helps you to really work up. Again, research says that about 20 minutes of meditation is really going to provide you the maximum amount of benefits. But one of the cool things about something like Headspace is that it helps you to work up to that. And really takes you through techniques to help you. Again, when we talk about meditation, we're not trying to completely, kind of blank out our mind, but just making sure that we're doing focus during that time. So it can take you from like 5 minutes to 7 to 8 to 10 and help you continue to work up over a matter of weeks. So really, really good app. Again, something that I use myself. You can go to headspace.com, or I'm sure Apple and in the Google Play Store, you can find it there as well. Freedom is an app for those who, like, you're seriously addicted to social media and you know that it's a problem. I was talking to a good friend earlier, and they were just talking about, kind of that scrolling, right? One of the things that it's just easy for us to do is that there's no end. Like, there's no end to the scrolling. There's no bottoming out when it comes to that feed on Instagram, on Facebook. So sometimes you may need some help because those are challenges that you have. I'm sure you probably have heard the term crack book for Facebook, just because it becomes so addictive. And we've talked about this a little bit as well, Devon. It's happening on purpose. Mm-hmm. These social media apps and these companies are doing what they can to get that dopamine, to hit the right buttons, to keep you literally addicted and keep you going to their platform. They make money off of advertisers and marketing dollars. So the more that you're on the app, obviously, the better it's going to be for them and the folks that are paying them for marketing. So this particular app helps you, once you have it set up, to kind of pick times throughout the day that you don't want to be distracted. And you know that you need to be 100% focused, and it helps to shut down those social media apps. Luminosity is a brain training app that helps, again, with focus by playing some of these games that were created to make your brain work on focus. You can strengthen your inner focus muscles and use what you've learned in your personal and your business life as well. Luminosity has been out for some time now. I'm curious if anybody has used Luminosity or maybe even Headspace before. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up or a yes in the chat. Curious to see, again, who has used some of these apps. Hopefully even to see, what type of benefits that you've been able to receive from those. Kadisha says she has. Awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if I use Headspace or I use something like it, but I know that there's a couple of apps like where, because a part of this, right, is also accountability. And I think if you have somebody else that has visibility and, you guys are kind of beholden to one another, it just helps to keep you honest. All right. Rachel says she's used Headspace as well. But like there's an app where literally you can track like your progress on like meditation. Right. So if you and I were both making a commitment to say, hey, we're going to start meditating. And then, boom, I will be able to track when I'm, meditating, and then I have visibility to when you've meditated, and then it gamifies it, right? So there's active streaks and, different badges and, things like that to kind of encourage you to continue to develop that routine. So I don't know if that is Headspace specifically, but I know that there are a couple of different apps out there that have that type of functionality too.
Yeah, accountability, having a partner when you're doing some exercises like this is always good. I don't know that Headspace has that particular functionality, but like you said, I'm sure there's apps that do. So yeah, that's always a good idea. Like when you're trying to develop a new skill, you have goals that you're trying to obtain. Having a partner and sharing that with somebody else is always super beneficial. So we've talked a lot about the Pomodoro technique and some of the tools out there for that specific focus technique and time saving technique. But this one here is called Brain Focus Productivity Timer, which is a time that can help you set up work sessions. You can also track your time by task as well. And then NeuroNation has fun exercises that are scientifically developed. It provides insights as to what your personal strengths are and how to reach your potential. So NeuroNation is another really, really good one, and that's neuronation.com. And we'll put some of these in the chat as well, so you have access to those. This is one that we've discussed on one of our podcasts as well. Is Forest. It's an interesting app that really will give you a good feeling if you use it. With this app, you open it up and you plant basically a virtual tree. So if you stay focused on your task in the allotted amount of time, then that tree continues or begins to grow. If you move off your task, say to send out a tweet, then your tree dies, right? And we don't want the tree that we planted to die. We want it to grow. We want it to flourish. So when you get a fully grown tree, it gets added to your forest that you're planting. So the really cool thing about the app is that you get kind of virtual coins for your trees. And once you get enough, a real tree is actually planted on your behalf as a reward. So there's a lot of benefits for you and obviously some benefits for the environment as you virtually and then literally help trees to be planted and grown.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite apps, actually.
Yeah, that one is really good. And then Engross app. This is an Android app for our Android users out there. I'm Team Android. When you open it up, you set a timer, and then as you start your work, every time you start to lose focus, you tap the app and you start to work again. At the end of the session that you open up on Engross, it will give you details of how many times you actually lost focus. So your challenge, the next day is to repeat and then try to lower the number of times that you lost focus. So there's a little gamification, right, that you're playing in there, kind of competing with yourself and saying, okay, well, I lost focus maybe 5 times, within an hour or so doing a particular task. I want to try to decrease that number today. Be Focused, the focus timer. This is an iPhone app it's a focus timer and it's a goal tracker as well. It's simple to use, but has about 20 plus features that you can customize. It has a 3D touch and alarms that can be set. And you can also manage your tasks, easily track your goals, set up your work burst, and then follow by your specific breaks as well. So a lot of these apps and again, timers, when we talk about that work burst, it's really helping you to focus on that specific task for 20, 25 minutes. And again, being ultra focused on that and that work burst, and then taking about a 5 to 10 minute break after that. All right. Coming in to the end as we land this plane, focus strategies and 6 hacks and methods that help you focus. What do you have for us, Devon?
Sure. So first thing is understanding when your brain can focus the best and then use that time period to work on your most difficult task. So I know that we talked a little bit about our sleeping habits and waking up early, getting your day started so that you develop the routine. That's all critically essential. Then from there, it's about when am I the most productive? Like, when do I really start hitting my stride? For me, very, very first thing in the morning, I need that time to just kind of get my bearings and get acclimated. I usually start to hit, for me personally, my stride like in that latter part of the day, like around like 1, 2, like that's when I've kind of built the momentum. And so I save my most difficult task. I intentionally, when I do my minute planning, save my most difficult task for that time of the day. So again, it's about knowing yourself and then playing to how you're wired and your strengths. The second tip would be like when you have very little enthusiasm for a task at hand, ask yourself if this should be shifted to a different time. So there's nothing wrong with pausing and saying, okay, well, can I do this at a different time? I would even take it a step further, kind of going back to our time management principles, even ask yourself, can this be shifted to somebody else? Does this require my level of expertise? Right, of my specific skill set? And if the answer to that question is, well, no, and there is somebody that's capable of doing it, well, then get that to them so then you can spend your energy, your effort, your time, your expertise on the things that require your level of engagement, right? But if nothing else, ask yourself, well, can I do this at a different time? Third is always having an abundant supply of water and fruit or raw vegetables. Or water. That's not a challenge for me. The fruit and raw vegetables is something I'm going to have to train myself to be able to do. But I think the goal at the end of the day, right, is to have accessible kind of those foods that really nurture you, energize you, give you that energy burst that you can focus on the task at hand. For number 4, keep your desk clear at all times. So like start with a quick tidy up in the morning and before you leave for the day. Plenty of folks, if you've had the opportunity of being around me in my office, you've seen me where I do this. For me, getting your desk organized is also about like getting your mind decluttered, getting your mind organized, because you know that when you're coming back into that space, right, if there's things that are already occupying it, it's natural to feel like you're behind the 8 ball. Right. So being intentional about doing a cleanup, getting yourself organized, and then getting to the task at hand that you have planned out. And then at the end of the day, having dedicated time to clean it up, right, to get it back organized so that you have minimal things that you need to clean up the next day. But it's about going through those mental reps. 5th is pick a theme for your day. So identifying a specific theme or goal that you want to accomplish for the day. Like, and it could be things that drive, focus, increase focus and energy and awareness. It could be, the theme could be confidence, right? The theme for the day could be confidence. And then from there, being intentional throughout the day of finding times to reaffirm yourself, to reaffirm your confidence, and recognize when you're doing things that positively feed your confidence, right? But being able to pick a theme is another way to drive focus. And lastly, proper sleep is essential for focus, and the body is tuned into what is called your circadian rhythm, right? So if you ever wondered how, even when you quote unquote take vacation and you don't set your alarm clock, your body still wakes up at the exact same time. Again, it's your circadian rhythm. Your body has already developed this routine, these internal processes that it goes through, throughout the day, that sends a signal that says, hey, you need to wake up. And so it's important that, again, you're maintaining proper sleep, and taking care of your body so that you can drive essential focus. Now, I know that at times it may require that you operate outside of your normal sleep pattern in order to get the task done, but that should be the exception and not the norm. And so if you normally have irregular sleep patterns, and you're constantly disrupting your circadian rhythm, you're going to find that it's going to be very difficult for you to focus. Right. So now that we've gone through those 6 hacks, you now have an abundance of knowledge on how to be productive and focus on what is truly important. I appreciate, you guys spending time with us as we've kind of gone through these tips so that you can maximize your focus and be the best version of you in both your environment, your body, your mind, and also in your diet. But Jimmy also mentioned that, as a gift to you guys, we also have, some products that we'll be providing to you so that you can read throughout your leisure and take some of these tips with you so you can implement.
Yep. And then we're also, again, we had about 9 folks join us this evening. So we appreciate everybody who invested some time on a Friday evening to be with us and listen to these 4 key areas. Again, that are going to help you focus for success. We will be doing a drawing out of these names. It will be random, and we'll be posting that on our social media. We'll probably do that live so that you'll know exactly who the winner is. And again, that lucky winner will be getting some legacy leader swag, as well as our whole new e-learning course bundle, which is the Focus e-learning course, again, that we've created and put together over the last couple of months. So very excited about that. And if you're not the lucky winner, there actually will be opportunity if that's something that you want to invest in, again, to get more tips and specific learning on diffusing distractions and just some productivity tips as well. So be on the lookout for that as we continue to, again, bring you the goodness, which is not just the Legacy and Leadership podcast, but really what is the Legacy Leadership Learning Group. So again, stay tuned for that. If you have any questions, definitely, feel free to put something in the chat. But if not, we definitely thank you for your time, and God bless and stay encouraged, everybody. One thing.
Rage on that beat, going crazy.
You have just listened to the Legacy and Leadership Podcast, hosted by Jimmy Gonzalez and Devon Watts. Thank you, and we hope that you live, lead, and leave a legacy worth remembering. Until next time.